Isn't it true that the economics of running a data center are significantly better than moving to the public cloud? Isn't that why you should continue to invest in your own data center and not move to Microsoft Azure?
So initially in efficient data centers deployment, the long depreciation period of 60 months can create a cost structure that appears an order of magnitude better than a comparable deployment in Azure. However, this advantage is really only superficial. It comes down to two key things: comparing CapEx costs that are depreciated over a long period with Azure's pay-as-you-go model, and also confusing average fixed costs with marginal costs. So let's take compute as an example. Purchasing a server and calculating the cost per unit at a core level may initially make Azure costs appear higher. However, consider the fact that purchasing a server means you're making a 3 to 5 year commitment upfront. It's not accurate to compare this to Azure pay-as-you-go pricing, which provide the option of turning a virtual machine off at any time to stop paying for it. In Azure, you can reduce your costs further by considering things like reserved instances. And there are also rebates in place that further reduce your total cost, and programs like data center optimization to offset your migration costs when making a transition to Azure. We also need to account for the difference between average fixed cost versus marginal cost. Average fixed cost takes the total fixed cost of a data center and its infrastructure, and it calculates its average cost over the course of 60 months. On average, the server will cost you a certain amount per core per month, regardless of whether it's used or not. Marginal cost, on the other hand, is only incurred if you have the customer demand to justify spending that money. With Azure, if you don't have customers, then your marginal cost is zero. If you have a small number of customers, you can buy the size of a virtual machine needed at that time and upgrade anytime without a capital expenditure. So while it's very tempting to calculate the average fixed costs and then compare that to what your Azure pricing looks like, we need to really compare Azure with a marginal cost structure. And with those marginal cost structures, you get to take advantage of a public cloud's flexibility to closely match the capacity and your customer demand, and then leveraging things like reserved instances and Azure hybrid benefits can further reduce your total costs while gaining flexibility that's not available in an on-premises data center deployment.